Any thoughts on, I don't even know how to pronounce it, the man formerly known as Kanye West? How do you pronounce it? Is it Ye?
I think it's Ye.
Is it Ye? Okay.
It's like Kanye.
Yeah, that's why I said Ye.
We're totally
I'm looking at it going Ye.
I noticed Spotify still calls him Kanye West, which I found surprising. So I don't know. I think that may.
I mean, presumably Prince still showed up places after he renamed himself some crazy-looking series of symbols.
The
right?
Ankh.
The Ankh? Was he an Ankh? I thought he was several things.
Wasn't he an Ankh?
Oh, I don't even know. Okay. Ye, we decided is how he pronounces his name now?
I'm guessing.
Any thoughts on Ye's statements about Jewish media?
Well, they did strike me as a tad bit anti-Semitic.
just a bit. Oh man.
I mean, look, I let's put it this way. This is a difficult question. Anti-Semitism is an evergreen problem. It reasserts itself, and it can obviously end in disaster. I believe I know exactly why this happens, and it has to do with the fact that Jews are a very tiny population that lives as a diaspora, which makes us vulnerable. And so at the point you get to what in our book we describe as transfer frontiers, when the technological frontiers have petered out and are not on the horizon, there are no more geographic frontiers. Theft is the way. And so a small population of people that live interspersed with other people is a go-to target.
Living in diaspora, any population is inherently not in a homeland, an historic homeland.
Yeah.
By definition, that's what diaspora is.
Right. Now, you would think that a Black American would understand, would experience something similar and recognize that Jews aren't his enemy, even if they're individual Jews.
At least an African American, an African who has come to live in America, which maybe should also be called an African American, but like someone whose ancestors were brought against their will.
Yep.
Might understand this in the same way, even though Jews weren't obviously brought to the U.S. against their
Right.
will.
It's a very different origin story, and that origin story has everything to do, in my opinion, with the difference in how these populations have done. In other words, if you're hobbled as a slave population in order to keep you docile, and then you're freed, that does not give you the tools necessary to compete.
Well, and as many African immigrants by choice to the U.S. have done extraordinarily well.
Yeah.
On average, do much better.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think any of this has anything to do with endogenous characteristics.
Right.
But the point is, blacks in the U.S. are always at a disadvantage because it's a minority that has difficulty protecting itself. Jews are in a different spot, but it's a variation on a theme. And anyway, it's a pity that Kanye sees fit to hold forth.
Are you dead naming him now? Or?
I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily not do it, but
yeah, somehow it's only dead naming if you've also decided that you're living in a fantasy world in which you are the sex that you're not.
Yeah.
If you've just changed your name, no, that's not dead naming.
Yeah. In any case, let's just sum total here. Yep, what he said is pretty offensive. Am I weirded out that some guy said offensive shit about Jews? Not really. I sort of think, we have to be very careful about anti-Semitism gelling into a movement that wants to take action, but by and large, we've become way too sensitive about the way people from different populations talk about each other, get used to each other, right? We've become so sensitive that these things, we pretend that people don't have ideas about other people, and then we're shocked when somebody says something beyond the pale. And the point is, I think he said some really unfortunate things. I wasn't terribly troubled that a guy said some really unfortunate things. That is a thing that happens. And the real problem is that at the moment there seems to be an audience for anti-Semitism, and this again goes back to the idea that when people are feeling resource stressed, they start looking for vulnerable populations they can demonize and steal from, and that's why the Jews end up on the wrong end of this. Is that history keeps delivering that that sequence of events, and it's time we recognize what it is. This is why I have the argument with Dawkins that I have, which is you can't afford not to have this conversation. It will keep happening, right? If you don't talk about the lineage aspect of this, it will keep happening. The only way out is for us to say, here's the predisposition, here's the sequence of events, and here's the conditions necessary in order for that thing not to trigger, right? That's what we have to do, and not talking about it won't get us there.